Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another in the many of Full Compass webinars. Today we have a very special, a very hot topic actually, this considering where the world is today, home office solutions, brought to you from Audio-Technica. I'm Jim Ripp. I'm the manager of technical training here at Full Compass, and joining us today we have presenter Dan Pelletier from Audio-Technica. Before we get started, just a few housekeeping issues here. Please use the question and answer feature in the app itself. We won't be answering the questions during the webinar. However, we will address all of them at the end of the webinar. If you have to leave midstream here, no worries. We will send you a copy of the presentation for future viewing. Also, we have a very, very short survey at the end of the presentation here for you. If you would please fill that out and give us any feedback you feel you should send to us. That gives us a good idea what kind of webinars we should bring in the future. So, without any further ado, let's bring on Dan here. Dan, how are you doing?
I'm well, thank you, Jim. How are you?
I'm doing great. A little winded from running around here, kind of busy today, but
yeah.
Boy, looking through your list of accolades here, Dan, you actually live up to all of this. This is great. A professional musician. I've never heard you perform live. I've heard some CDs from you, but I've seen you perform live as an instructor, and you are one of the best that we have come in here to Full Compass. Very excellent teacher. So we're proud to have you on this subject today with us.
Oh shucks, thanks, Jim.
Anything very nice to say about yourself other than what's written down here?
Maybe I don't know. Well, I've been with Audio-Technica for almost 10 years. I love what I do. I'm very passionate about helping people out, making certain that they have solutions that are actually going to help them. And I'm available as a resource. Feel free to contact me really whenever. It's dpelletier@atus.com. Yeah, be happy to help you solve really any of the problems that you're experiencing with your audio.
All right, Dan. Well, I'm going to hand things off to you. You're going to take the controls here, and I guess I'll see you at the end of the webinar. And again, folks, go ahead and type in your questions as Dan gives the presentation.
Okay, so the topic at hand, obviously, what Jim was talking about is that things have changed in really for so many of our lives, where a lot of us are working from home. And basically, that means that soft codec, like Skype for Business, GoToMeeting, Zoom, it's all in really super high demand now. Kind of just want to throw this out there. We're not going, Audio-Technica doesn't recommend any one soft codec. Really kind of have to choose which one is best for you and your team. But to kind of just reinforce how important the audio side of video conferencing is that governments are starting to allocate funds for that. So in the state of Ohio, funds are being allocated for virtual courts. So things are just kind of speeding up a lot when it comes to everybody working from home, if we're able to. But this is presenting some pretty neat opportunities. So the virtual classroom now is pretty much in full swing. One of my coworkers, his son was essentially supervising a virtual classroom. It was pretty neat. And the other thing that's coming up is virtual worship services, which is what I've been attending every Sunday. But to kind of throw this in there anecdotally, a typical meeting, it can occur without video. It really can't occur without audio, and especially good audio. We're in a first impressions world where the audio that you have is really quite important. So one of my buddies works in Hollywood, and he told me this thing that he learned in school, which was you can sit through a movie with poor audio, with poor video quality. You really can't sit through a movie that has poor audio quality, because you're going to get fatigued a lot faster if the audio quality is poor. So with that, some solutions from Audio-Technica. The first thing is the ATH-M50x, and you might be thinking to yourself, what does the M50X have to do with video conferencing? If you're familiar with this product at all, it doesn't have a microphone. But the thing is that it could. So we have a product called the ATGM2, and it's a detachable boom arm. Now you might see some of the specifications here, but we're going to skip to, this is going to be available as a PDF through Jim after the presentation is done. But this is just so so you have maybe a quick reference for what these products can do, and know that this product is coming soon from Full Compass. Additionally, if you were to pair these three items together, so the Audio-Technica M50 with the GM2 boom arm and the ATR2X USB, you'd be able to use that with a PC. That'd be a nice, again, home office solution from the audio standpoint. Right, so what would be good about using all of these together? Well, the first thing would be flexible use. You're going to get a world-class headphone if you're using the Audio-Technica M50s. Next is that there's wired operation. At this point, you don't have battery management that you have to worry about. You don't have to worry about the batteries going dead. The GM2 is going to be used with any over-the-ear headphone. So this is really something that's product agnostic. Of course, we would prefer that you'd use an Audio-Technica headphone, but if you don't have Audio-Technica headphones, and if you don't have the budget, this would be a pretty nice option that you can mount to your wired headphone. Additionally, this is multiple use in that you don't have to just use it with from a video conferencing application. Many of us don't just work, we work and we play. So if you wanted to use this overall as a gaming headset, you could do that. And it would be more so with PS4, anything really with a TRRS connection. But if you were using this with the ATR2X USB, then that'll give you a little bit more versatility. You can plug in the microphone and the headphones into this adapter and then subsequently into your computer. And again, this is going to be available soon from from Full Compass. Moving right along in the interest of time, since we got a little bit of a late start, the next thing is the BPHS2 broadcast headset. Now, what's really nice about this headset is that you're getting a world-class broadcast headset. And many of us, including myself, who watch sporting events and you see a broadcast headset, you kind of get the idea of how they sound, and people kind of like that broadcasty kind of sound, if you will. If you really want, I would say the typical broadcast type sound, then you're really looking at the dynamic option. But again, this can give you some flexible use because it is a wired microphone. It's a wired headphone, and in that, this comes with an XLR cable, but it's a breakout cable that also has a headphone connector, and you could use that with a USB mixer. Or you can use it with a USB adapter. Now, Audio-Technica doesn't manufacture a mixer to that degree. We do have a mixer called the ATDM0604, which would be a good solution for your corporate type applications. But what you're going to want to do, fully recommend contacting your Full Compass salesperson to get a recommendation on what type of USB mixer to get and/or what type of XLR to USB adapter. Oddly enough, this is a product that Jim is using right now. So you heard Jim in the beginning of this, he's using a BPHS2 with an XLR to USB adapter. So again, a nice option for your home office solution. Next is the AT2005 USB. Now this is the standalone version, but we have a podcasting version, and the podcasting version comes with a boom arm. It comes with the ATH-M50x headphones. That's in our M series or our monitor series. It would require connection either by USB to a PC or Mac or XLR connection because this is a hybrid type microphone. And what you could do as well is you can get an optional windscreen called the AT8114. But what would be the benefit of using this mic? So it's a dynamic microphone, which means it's not as sensitive. So we're going to kind of get into some of the usage notes related to this. With the dynamic mic not being as sensitive, you kind of have to get right up on the microphone in order for it to work properly, in order to get really good gain into it. However, that also means that it's, subsequently, it's because it's less sensitive. And the good thing about it being less sensitive is that the probability of getting background noise is a little bit lower, I would say significantly lower compared to its condenser counterpart. It also has a local on-off switch. So when I think about even some of the etiquette related to the that's a microphone use, you can mute the microphone right at the microphone instead of having to try to find the mute button in your soft codec. which can sometimes be, it can be a little bit difficult to do, especially if somebody kind of comes in and interrupts your conversation, right? Next thing is that there's a headphone connection with a volume control on it. And really, when you're able to use this, kind of a side note, if you're able to use a microphone and headphone combination, it's really good for the processing of your soft codec, because echo canceling doesn't, it's still going to play a part into it, but echo canceling really helps to benefit the far end. It doesn't, in other words, the person's talking on the far end, their echo canceling is going to benefit you. It really is because you have a little bit more of isolation between the microphone and the headphone, as opposed to even what I'm doing now. I have a microphone and I have a loudspeaker right next to me. But again, I'm using the AT-DM0604. It's got some built-in echo canceling. This is a part of my rig, and as you know, hopefully you can hear that it's performing quite well. And again, it is compatible with Mac or PC. The next is the AT2020 USB. This is a very popular microphone for us, and probably now more popular than ever. But again, we also have a podcasting kit for it. What makes it the plus version of the USB is that it also has a headphone connection, and you can directly connect the included with the podcast kit M20X headphones. It also comes with a boom arm, and there's actually, you know, this is not correct. I thought I took care of this, but the XLR connection, that's not there. It's really, it is a USB connection to a computer. So that's a copy paste error from my point. But this is a dedicated USB microphone, not an XLR microphone. So sorry about that. We'll be correcting that when I send out the PDF to everyone. But what's the nice thing about this? Well, the nice thing about this, and just so you know, if you get this microphone, you want to speak into the blue light. That's the front of the microphone. It's not a top address microphone. It is a side address microphone. So you want to speak into the blue light. But it's a condenser microphone, which means it's a little bit more sensitive. You don't have to be right up on the microphone in order for it to work. But you could get a little bit more background noise. So this is something where you're really going to want to be in a more controlled environment when you're using this. But it's a studio condenser microphone, so it's also going to have some other applications if you want to do some recording with it. This is going to be a really nice microphone for recording. There's also a monitor mix control, so if you want to monitor your microphone directly to see how good it sounds, or if you want to monitor what's coming from the computer, you can do that too. And what's good about both is it says, it'll tell you, am I getting good audio coming in? Am I getting good audio coming out? So that's a nice feature with this as well. Again, there is a headphone connection. It is dedicated USB. And then the computer connections, of course, are your Mac and your PC. So here's the wired version of that, the AT2020. Again, you see the specs there. And we also have a podcasting version of this. This one also comes with a boom arm. See, this is where the copy paste error comes in, right? So you have this is an XLR connection. It is not a USB connection, but again, you can use an XLR to USB adapter. That adapter must provide 48 volts of phantom power though. So again, you're gonna wanna talk to your Full Compass salesperson to find out which XLR to USB adapter you can use with this. Or again, talk to your Full Compass salesperson to talk about which XLR mixer or USB mixer that you can get, or interface, in order to do your home office, your home video conferencing. So what are the benefits of going with this one? Well, again, it's going to be multi-purpose in that because it's XLR, it's going to be a little bit more flexible. You can connect it to an XLR mixer. You're not bound to it just being a USB connection. You can get some pro audio use out of this as well. Again, it is a condenser microphone, so it's going to be a lot more sensitive, but it's going to give you a much more what you can say a clearer sound, a smoother sound comparatively. And in either scenario, again, you want to make certain that the adapter that you're using or whatever you're plugging it into supplies 48 volts of phantom power. This is what's known as a DC biased condenser microphone. It needs the full 48 volts in order to work. And then the next is the 2035. So the 2035, another studio condenser microphone. This is what I love about this microphone. So its list price is $50 more than the 2020, but its noise floor, its self noise, in other words, is 12 dB. That's very low. This might be class leading for the microphone, for a microphone in this price range. That's a very, very good spec for this microphone. But again, we have a podcasting bundle with this where it comes with the 2035, a boom arm, and an M20. And this is another application where, because it's an XLR microphone, you can use it with a mixer. You can use it with an XLR to USB adapter. But this one is a little bit, the phantom power requirements are less. This is what's called an electret condenser microphone. So this doesn't require the full 48. It can run on as little as 11. It's going to make it a little bit more versatile, but really the thing that you'd want to know about this one is that it comes with a shock mount. And why is that important? Well, the shock mount prevents vibration type noises from making its way into the microphone. And so you're getting a lot of value for the extra money that you would be spending with this. And again, it's multi-use. And I want to cover some of that multi-use a little bit later in this slide. In this presentation, to kind of give you an idea of how else you can use this microphone in the scope of just owning it. Right, and the next thing is System 10 camera mount. And here's where I want to kind of pitch this one to everybody. And if you use this, again, with an ATR2X USB, you can plug it into a computer, because the thing you'd want to know is that even though this has a USB connection, that's USB charging only. But moving over to this, right? So I'm going to focus on the flexible use of this right now. The flexible use is that, we're all, like, you can say I'm an instructor. I did some instructing at my local community college for a while. And if you're a teacher, if you're a professor, if you're a minister, we're all, that's under the umbrella of the instructor. And a lot of us, especially, and I know I can say this for me, having a wireless option means that I can move around a little bit. And if I back off from the camera some, it's still going to give you more of a direct sound, because now the microphone is clipped to your lapel position. So I think that this would be a really nice option for your home office for presenting. And it also has some other uses, namely that you can connect it to your camera. So if you're going to be doing any content creation, you can use this as another way to get that direct sound into the camera. I have a nice camera, oddly enough, that Jim sold me, and that's what I use for. I use this with my camera, because the built-in microphone is really not as good. That's something that I could say that most people would generally say is that one of the pains of using either your phone or the computer is that the audio is not as good. Definitely getting an external microphone, hopefully from Audio-Technica, will show you how good the audio really can be in a way where, again, the listener is not going to get fatigued just listening to your presentation. That you want people to hear you. You don't want people to get tired of hearing you. And if they get tired of hearing you, let it not be from the audio quality, at least from AT. Okay, so that's basically it from the product side of it. But what I also wanted to address was some of the common issues. Really working from home for me, I travel a lot. I'm used to being on the road. I'm also used to working in a hotel where I don't really have a lot of distractions. But now that I'm at home, there's a lot more considerations that I had to really adapt to. So the first thing is controlling your environment. So this is actually something, if you see this image here, there's a new term called book shaming or room shaming, where if you see somebody's background, you're less likely to pay attention to them, and you're going to be paying attention a little bit, maybe too much to your background. I don't want to necessarily say that, I wish people didn't do it, but it happens nonetheless. So really your location is quite important. So I definitely recommend having a dedicated workspace. Yeah, and the other thing to say about this too is that this is not so Audio-Technica specific. This is, hey, these are some of the things that I'd like to help you out with, so that you, maybe this can help improve your work at home experience. So we don't want to just be, we are a microphone solutions company, but I kind of want to give you a little bit more solutions that'll hopefully help you out, right? The next thing to consider is the technical issues. So, something that Jim and I did, oddly enough, before this call, we did a test call. We made certain that the audio and everything was configured beforehand. It's just that, seemed like there were some other technical issues related to the codec and maybe people getting access to it. But again, it's still something, you want to be able to mitigate a lot of the problems related by doing a test call. So, and then to know your audio, know when to mute. So many of you might have seen some of the stories out there of somebody forgetting to mute their microphone and then going over to the bathroom. That can be a quite embarrassing moment. So again, know when to mute your audio, and that could be a solution, again, related to that 2005 USB, because that has a local mute. You can just grab the microphone, mute it, and that'll prevent, well, it could prevent some of the errors of, like, maybe, even if you're in the same room, if somebody interrupts you again, you might be able to just mute that microphone then right there. And and I had all these slides and I forgot to mention them, but if you've seen this, this is a pretty good video. Again, this is knowing your environment, knowing your background, when you're maybe your children are coming in. And this is kind of a game that got sent to us by our HR department, just as kind of a joke to say, how many times can this happen during a presentation? So kind of some fun stuff right there. Okay, so moving along. One of the things, again, have a dedicated workspace. If your workspace, again, is dedicated, then it prevents, again, you're mitigating some of the issues you can experience. You're mitigating whether maybe somebody's cutting the grass outside and you're in an area where that can get picked up by your microphone. Also, your physical background matters, as we discussed before, and be mindful of a professional look. Another thing is keeping your daily routine. And I wake up at the same time that I would as I was going to go to work. Thankfully, I'm only 20 minutes away from Audio-Technica, but I still plan to be up at the same time, get my coffee. If you don't like coffee, that's cool. Drink your tea. Or if you don't drink either, just keep your daily routine. The next thing is, as a tip, is having self-discipline. So my wife is upstairs. Thankfully, she is huge right now. She's almost, she's like my hero, taking care of taking care of my children upstairs. And for that, it's, if you have a spouse, a significant other, if you have children in the house, trust your partner to do their job. Have the self-discipline to not, get up and try to help out, because really they got it under control. And then the next thing is to take breaks. That's something I think that a lot of us, where again, I love what I do. A lot of people like what they do. Even if you don't like what you do, you're still usually compelled to work through that. But in working from home, you got to remind yourself to get up, take a break, and kind of decompress a little bit. And a tip that was given to me is to use a stoplight. The stoplight system. Now, I'm lucky that you can't see it here, but I have double doors because I'm in my recording studio right now. So I have a 2-door policy, but not everybody has that. So if you were to get a sign, like a stop sign where it's red means it's dedicated work. If I had this stop sign, then outside my door right now would be red. I'm not to be bothered right now unless there's an emergency. Yellow would mean I'm doing dedicated work. Like, hey, I'm creating a presentation for Full Compass, but you can interrupt me. I may or may not answer, but still, you're allowed to knock on that door and maybe interrupt. Green is, yeah, I'm doing some work, but you can come in and you can kind of see what I'm doing. I think it's overall a pretty nice system. So there's some tips with that. But then the next thing is, if you're going to be getting an Audio-Technica microphone, again, which we hope you do, it doesn't necessarily have to be for just for video conferencing. Content creation, the time is really, I say now, because a lot of us do have a little bit more time. I don't. I've been quite busy. But if you're an educator, and let's say, I don't want to say that, if you have time, whether you're an educator or not, it really, now's the time to do some content creation. Take that microphone that you just got and use it to maybe make a little bit of, to get a side hustle going. And just to kind of throw it here, the top 10 from 2018, I'm just going to cycle all the way through this just to tell you, maybe, that podcast that you've always wanted to do, well, maybe you can make $22 million doing it. This kid, who, I watch, I was watching him as Ryan's Family Toys and Review. I'm not a Monster Jam type person, But because of his videos, I was like, you know what? I want to take my son to a Monster Jam. I think that'd be pretty fun. And he made $22 million doing that. So really, again, the time is now for content creation. Use this time, that if you have extra time, if you have expendable time, to do that podcast that you've always wanted to do. So in conclusion, if you couldn't tell, I'm trying to, really trying to be mindful of your time again, since, we had the technical issues. Why Audio-Technica? Well, the first thing is that we're known for high quality, intelligible audio. We have the ATH-M50x critically acclaimed headphones used by studio engineers and end users alike. I have a few pairs of these, and they're obviously they're quite nice. Next is the stringent quality control. So our 40 series, which just turned 25 years old, it was one of the first microphones to break the side address studio condenser microphones to break the $1,000 barrier. And you can say 200% quality control on this. I saw these being made in Japan late last year, and they're put together by hand, and then when they're done getting put together and assembled in Japan, they come to the United States, and then we test them all over again. 100% of them, they cannot leave our building until they've been quality controlled, and they have to meet that strict requirement. Next, related is our transducer consistency, our durable and reliable products, and the fact that price is a feature. So we've been providing microphones for the Olympics since 1996. So they have to be able to stand up to the elements in order for them to be used over and over and over again. So this one, you can see the curling event. We had 50 channels of wireless system going at that, over 50 channels of wireless going on at that event. Additionally, if you're looking at some of the ice shoot type events like the skeleton, you can see Audio-Technica lavaliers and shotgun microphones going all the way down the track. And then we also supply microphones for the Grammys, for the Academy, for the Country Music Awards, and we've been doing that for a long time as well. So now, in a way that you've you've had water from the Audio-Technica fire hydrant, I was going to open this up for questions and then pass this over to Jim. Again, this is this presentation will be made available to you via PDF through Jim. You just have to email jrip@fullcompass.com to get a copy of this. So Jim, would you like to take over again?
Yeah, actually, I'd love to. Dan, thank you so much. Man, talk about a lot of information there. I do want to point out that we use, for every single one of our webinars, we use Audio-Technica. Love the quality, ease of use. They're great. The broadcast headset is outstanding. So we have just one question. Yes, the BPHS2. I'm using the double, so it's the two that has the two head. There's also one with just the one earpiece as well, which is we've used that as well. One question here, Dan. You mentioned going back to the AT2020 that there's a headphone plug. Could you explain real quick to the audience how that works with a headphone plug on a microphone? Seems odd.
Right, so the headphone connection is meant for a direct connection, and when you set this up in your computer, when you set it up in your computer, you're going to make your input device your we'll say it like this. You're going to make your input device your microphone, and your output device also the microphone. Let's say that you're in a position where you don't want your audio, you don't want the return audio to be heard. Let's say you're in a board meeting and they're discussing sensitive information. You probably don't want that broadcast over your computer speakers. So being able to plug a headphone directly into the 2020 USB Plus would allow you to get a little bit more privacy, at least from the listen standpoint. And then there's that slider, that monitor slider that could say, hey, do I want to monitor my microphone? I want to see if I'm getting good audio coming in. And then a slider that will say, okay, I want to listen to the computer audio now. What is coming from the far end? What are people from the far end trying to tell me? You'd be able to hear them that way.
Perfect. That explains it. That's all the questions that we have. Dan, there anything else that you'd like to mention? We got 1 or 2 more minutes here.
No, I mean that's pretty much it. I know that these are definitely very strange times, and kind of as I said in the beginning, the show has to go on. I mean, it's we're a society where it's kind of the American spirit that we're gonna pick up and do what we can to make ourselves and the country a better place. And you just want to give everybody good wishes, and good vibes, and kind of give some encouragement. Say, hey, this is your audio. You are important, but yes, your audio is obviously important because it's a representation of you and your company, and we're all trying to support each other, support our families, and Audio-Technica products really can give you a good. They're gonna provide that good audio quality for you. Where if I didn't work for Audio-Technica, I would probably expect people to say, "Wow, well, your microphone sounds pretty good. Can you tell me what you're using?" And I think that's kind of the result that you kind of want as well. I've heard that from some of my friends, saying, "Hey, I bought an AT mic. I really love how it sounds," and it's really nice to be able to hear that get that unsolicited um, comment from somebody. So again, yeah, we're Full Compass is here to help you out. Audio-Technica is here to help you out. And I guess I could say that as my closing statement.
Awesome. Thank you, Dan. And once again, everybody, if you have any further questions, you can absolutely email me after the presentation, or any suggestions that you have for future webinars as well. My email address is JRIPP, that's JRIP at fullcompass.com. We do have a short survey at the end here that you could fill out that will also help us to bring you future webinars and future subjects that you're very interested in. So once again, thank you, Dan, so much for joining us today, and thanks everybody for being patient while we got through of our technical difficulties. And this ends our webinar for today.
Thank you, everyone.